Hi, welcome everyone to the Explore Endeavor weekend broadcast. I'm Martin Miller. I'm the managing director and founder of Endevvr, and I'm here tonight to answer any questions that you have about our program and what we do. And there are a couple of ways to send us questions this evening. One is to follow us on our Google Plus page, and you can send us questions right through the Q&A app that's built into the website. The other one is to view us through YouTube and submit the questions through Twitter, and we're actually monitoring Twitter feed. We've been getting quite a few questions that way. And you can also email me at martin@endevvr.com, and we'll be sure to answer any of those questions that come in that way. Let me start by telling you a little bit about what Endevvr is. I know a lot of people have questions. So what we are, we're an entrepreneurship incubator for high school students. What that means is, we run a summer program where high school students get to start their own companies. Unlike a lot of other programs that call themselves entrepreneurship programs, our students actually start real companies. So it's not a business plan competition. It's not meant as a, kind of a fake company thing. All of our students and alumni get to start real companies. And I see that several people have joined and are now watching the feed, so welcome. And we're looking, again, like I said, forward to your questions. I'll be monitoring Twitter and the Q&A app right here through Google+. And let me see, we have one question that has come in, and it's on Twitter, and someone was asking, what is the daily schedule like at Endevvr? So we actually get this question quite a bit, and there's really no simple way to answer this question, since every day is quite a bit different. But to give you an example of what we do and what we don't do, one thing that's very important to us is to create a great learning environment for all of our students. And the way we accomplish that is not by having our students sit in a classroom for 9 or 10 hours a day and just giving them theory of entrepreneurship. What's really important to us is to really allow our students the time to experience entrepreneurship and experience building their companies. So what we do is we have very targeted modules aimed at conveying important concepts that that are relevant to starting your companies, and then immediately applying those concepts into the real company. So what that might look like is our students will, we lecture for about an hour or so on a particular topic, and then we give time for the students to immediately go and apply that. Students are also surrounded by mentors that are opposite, in addition to the instructional staff, and those people are dedicated to guiding you through the process. So you actually have quite a wide range of resources that we deploy to make sure that our students are successful in what they do. So hopefully that was a good answer to that question. And I'm just checking for more right here. I'm also going to check our Facebook feed as well, and since that's another way to get in touch with us. So just give me one moment. Okay, and another question that we've just received is a question on how exactly the teams are formed at Endevvr. This is something that we also take very seriously, and it's very important to us. So let me talk a little bit more about that. What we found through experience and working and seeing what works is we want to strike a good balance between having teams that are balanced with different skills and personalities, and also teams that are formed around similar passions and ideas. So what we do, and I know this is unlike any other program of its kind, is we actually, because we have 5 weeks, in the first week, the students actually get a chance to work with different groups and different people just to see how they work together. So you're not just assigned a group 2 days in, and those are the people that you're kind of stuck with for 4 weeks. You get a lot of, you have many chances to actually try out different working styles, see how you work with different people. We observe that, and we take that into consideration when we assign the teams. So usually it takes us a couple of days in the beginning. Last year it's worked very well. And we've had a lot of successful teams that ended up working very well together. So it's actually a combination of student feedback, kind of our getting to know you over time, and and your interests and skills, because we want to make sure that the teams are balanced for skills. We don't want to have like 4 programmers all on the same team and then nobody kind of there to drive the business forward. So we do a great job in finding a mix of the students. So thank you for that question as well. And right here I'm checking our Twitter messages, and again, just to remind you, you can submit the questions to the Q&A app, right? And if you're following us through the Google Plus feed. Here's another question from our Facebook page, and this one asks, this is from Anju. What is the percent of rising juniors selected? What is the distribution of early admission versus normal application? Thank you for that question. The percent of rising, so most of our class actually gets is composed of rising juniors and rising seniors. I would say that usually accounts for about 80% of the total class. We don't really distinguish between those two. We also do so it's a mix of both. Where we do make a little bit of a distinction is people who have who are going to be graduating. So graduating seniors make up a very small portion traditionally of each class, but we do reserve some spots for them as well. The only high school group that we currently do not admit to Endevvr are current freshmen, which is rising sophomores. To answer the second part of the question, what is the distribution of early admission versus normal application? It really depends on the number of applications that we get in early admission. Usually, traditionally, it's been about half and half. This year, it's looking like we had a very strong early admission round, but we do reserve a good amount of spots for regular admission as well, and we've received many applications in that round as well. So overall, it's been a very competitive admission process this year. Thanks, Andrew, and hopefully that answers your question. Now we actually have a question on our Google Plus page from Jalen, and this one's very interesting since, so Jalen asks, what kind of speakers or keynotes does Endevvr have? And well, this one is It's an interesting question because well, Jalen was our keynote speaker last year, and he's a high school entrepreneur who's been very successful at what he does, and we loved having him at the program. He was really inspiring the first day. So he's actually an example, and you, Jalen, are an example of the kind of great speakers and keynotes that we do have at Endevvr. Other speakers that we've had in the past, it's anyone from entrepreneurs that are local to the area. Last year, one of our big speakers that we got was Eric Ries, who's the author of Lean Startup. So that was a very cool speaker for us, just like Jalen, and we're always looking to bring really high quality top talent to be speakers, be mentors, and interact with our students. So thanks for that question, Jalen, and hopefully we'll get to see you this year as well. So now I'm going to check our Twitter feed. So here's a question from Twitter. It says that the application does not allow you to save and then come back later and continue from where you left off. I believe that you're actually, it's meant to do that. There should be a save button that generates a code, which is basically a URL that where your information is saved. What it will not save are the files that you submit. So the only things that you actually have to resubmit are the files, like your essay or your video, basically as links at the moment that you're applying. But anything that you fill in the fields of the application itself should save in the URL that's generated for you when you use that option. So hopefully that is helpful. Please let me know. I'm actually going to put my email up here too. If that does not work, or you have any other questions about the application itself, you can actually email me at martin@endevvr.com, and I'll be happy to answer any other questions you have regarding the application or any technical problems that you're having with that. And I think we have a follow-up question. So there's a follow-up question from Andrew about the results of our application round. So the results of the early application have been announced, and we've been confirming some really great students for the class of 2015. For the results of the regular round, we'll start reviewing the applications as soon as the deadline closes. And the way the application process works from then on is we actually have a phone interview round where we interview all of the students, not all of the students, but our top applicants go through the second round, which is their interview round. So that will be scheduled probably within a week or two of the application deadline closing. And then after that, we usually let you know our decision within another week or two. So with the deadline being March 6th, you can probably expect to find out either by the end of March or very early the first week of April, as far as our decisions are concerned. So thanks for that question as well. Let's check Twitter here. So we have another question on Twitter, and this one is another one that we get quite a bit. And this one is, do you have to have an idea before you come to Endevvr, or do you come up with the ideas while you're at the program, and how does that work? Uh, the simple answer is that you do not have to have an idea before you come to Endevvr. So we've built a really good process um, for guiding you along and how to brainstorm and how to have how to pick from the ideas that our students generate. And one thing that we do that's very important is we actually focus on solving real problems before we go to the idea stage. So we really push the thinking of our students to make sure that we're solving problems that need solving, and problems that you're actually excited about solving, and not just going for an idea just to do something. So it's not like, I have a great idea for an app, let me just get an app because I want to have an app. It's, we push the thinking into solving real problems. And that actually has made our students very successful in that regard. So thank you for that question. There's another question on Twitter, and this one asks, is there going to be a final showcase of the products that we work on? So traditionally what we do is at the end of the program, we actually have what we call our presentation day or pitch day. And during that, we invite a group of investors, entrepreneurs, the people from the local community, parents, and you get to actually present your companies to the community. And in many cases, in the last couple of years, we've had investors approach our students as well. So we do invite the investment community. It's a great event. Last year we had a really nice, the event was great. We had a red carpet there with all of our guests coming in, so it was very exciting. So thank you for that question. Next we have another question on Facebook, and this one asks if we could kind of talk about the differences between Endevvr and other startup incubators that are out there for high school students. And you're asking about programs such as Launch or Catapult. So one of the key differences, I would say, that makes us different is let's take Launch or other programs like that. We're an independent program. What that means for us is we focus on making the experience best for the students, and that is our sole driving principle. So we're not looking to, by being independent, we're able to do that. We don't have to satisfy any other criteria, whether it's a requirement from a university about a curriculum. We don't have to. We're not here to generate funds for a big company or something like that. We're an independent nonprofit that's geared towards just providing the best possible experience for our students. So that's kind of at its core, we're very different from other programs that are like that. As far as other program differences, we made the decision to hold a 5-week program as opposed to shorter programs, because we feel that in the 5 weeks you can actually get a more complete experience and immerse yourself in the entrepreneurial aspect of it. We have a very we tend to focus on more actual learning and building of the companies rather than just teaching theory to students. I'm not familiar with all of the programs and what exactly goes on, but one thing you will never find at Endevvr is you're not just going to sit in a classroom for 5 or 6 or 7 hours a day and listen to somebody lecture for that time. Our actual day-to-day program is designed very differently from that. And it's actually structured in a more sandbox way where the lectures are short and very targeted, and then it's more based on an experiential learning kind of model. We also we're strong believers in community as well. So we don't keep the program separate from the community that it's in. We actually engage the entire community. In Atlanta last summer, where we held the program, we were actually embraced by many different, you know, other incubators, other entrepreneurial spaces, the university where we're at. Basically, we brought together a whole community of people around us, and our students had a lot of access and a lot of freedom to not just interact, but to get feedback from a lot of people. We went to different pitch competitions that were happening in the city. We were, you know, talking to pitching coaches from all these different places. So it was a very wonderful interactive experience for everyone. As far as Catapult is concerned, we're actually we've worked with Catapult in the past. We actually have a good relationship with them. And the difference between us and Catapult is we're sort of a stage one entrepreneurial incubator where students come to develop their ideas from the start and kind of acquire and develop not just the entrepreneurial skills, but the entrepreneurial mindset that's required to start your company. And you start your companies, and a lot of our students actually then go to Catapult to expand and work on their companies from there. So, it's actually kind of a nice fit between Endevvr and Catapult. One of our companies from last summer, I think they changed their name, but they were called KISS. They're actually at Catapult right now. I think they're there this weekend working on furthering their company. So it's been a kind of a great relationship that we had. So you get started at Endevvr, and then you can continue through Catapult. They have a little bit of a different model. So hopefully that answers your question. And there's a follow-up here. And this one asks, as the program will be hosted in UPenn this year, will Endevvr receive resources and support from faculty members of Wharton School? Thank you for that question as well. So what we're doing with UPenn and Wharton is since we're an independent program, again, we don't have an official relationship with the school, so they don't run our program in any way, but we do, like I said, we're very focused on bringing the communities forward. So as far as members of the Wharton School, we have several Wharton alumni that are going to be involved in the program. A lot of Wharton entrepreneurs that are there right now that have started their companies while at Wharton will actually be some of your mentors and advisors. So we actually seek to engage both Wharton and UPenn resources in a much more organic and comprehensive way than just saying, like, you know, one day there's going to be a professor that comes to talk to you for a half hour, and then we get to check off the box that, you know, we have an association with Wharton. That again kind of goes against the spirit of what we do. So we're much more interested in building long-lasting relationships with people who come from there. But we do have several Wharton alumni and Wharton entrepreneurs lined up to be advisors and mentors this summer. So hopefully that also answers your question. And those are really great, and thank you for that. And let's check on Twitter here. We had also one other question here that asked about the reasons why we've in the past we've separated from launch as a program. So that's also an interesting question. So a lot of times when companies start, and Endevvr started as an idea that I had an idea one day where we decided to, I was concerned with the problem of how to teach something as important as entrepreneurship to high school students. There's a lot of background on that, but basically we formed a team to help bring this concept forward. And after our first successful year, we've decided that a lot of times entrepreneurial teams work well together. Sometimes teams don't work optimally together, and we've just decided that as a team, we shared some ideas, but also we had different ideas about certain things, and it would have been best to go our separate ways from there. So I hope that answers your question as well. Now let me see. Let me check our Twitter feed. We've been getting some questions that way as well, and so someone sent the question through Twitter, asking how many people are we accepting this summer. So this year we're targeting anywhere from 25 to 30 students. Again, last year we had 22 students. This year we had, the first year we had 30. And the reason for that is we want to be focused. We're very focused on a super high quality experience for each one of our students. This is a reason why we keep our class size rather small. We actually have the highest mentor to student ratio of any program that I've come across. Last year, each of the teams that were composed of either 3 or 4 students had 2 dedicated mentors that were full-time mentors, in addition to several part-time mentors as well. So, if you're looking for a program that gives you a lot of resources and directs them at our students, Endevvr is absolutely the one that you want to participate in. Let's see. Yeah, and I mentioned this earlier. We got another question about how exactly the groups are formed at Endevvr. If you joined a little bit late, the way we do it is we actually have it's a mix of us assigning the groups from the feedback that we get initially. So there's surveys, there's interviews, ways that we get to know you ahead of time. In the beginning, we make our best guess at who would work well together, but we don't stick with that, and we don't force you into the groups. To be our permanent groups, the way we do it is we allow you to work in that group first, but then we switch it up several times, so you actually get to work with different people over time, and kind of see who you work best with. Who you share ideas with, which problems are you actually excited about working on. And then we take all of that into account. We take a lot of the student feedback into account, and we try to design groups that are also varied skill-wise. So one of the things that we don't want to happen is have 4 of the same person on one team, and by that I mean if it's all programmers or all artists or all just business-oriented people. We want to get a good mix so that each group kind of as a complete team, rather than having teams that are kind of like stacked one way or the other. So thanks again for that question. I guess we will have that one answered really thoroughly. So let's see if there's any other ones here on Twitter. And again, I really appreciate everyone sending in their questions. I believe we might have one on Facebook here. Let's see. Okay, so someone asked about being an international student. And does Endevvr accept international students? So the answer to that is we do actually accept international students, provided they can enter the US and stay here legally for the entire duration of the program. We're not able to sponsor students for visas at this time, but as long as you can come into the country on your own, we're happy to have you. And so that's the answer to that. Now the next question, and it's from Ansa. Could you explain the merit-based scholarship process and disclose the percentage of the fee that it usually covers? Sure. So the way the merit-based scholarship works, each year we have set aside a pool of funds that go towards the scholarships. And what we do with that is once we we allow our applicants to disclose whether they would like to be considered for a merit scholarship. We don't look at that when we make our admissions decisions. So first we go through the admission round, the interviews, and then once we have our students admitted and accepted, we check which of those students have requested scholarships. And then we go through the scholarship round, and we go through the application again to kind of to judge it for the merit of the scholarship purpose, and then we see how many of those students are there and compare that to the amount of money that we have available, and then we distribute the scholarships out that way. As far as the percentages that it usually covers, so traditionally I think it's covered anything from, I think the largest scholarships covered about 25% of the tuition last year, and then it was on a sliding scale. I think we had 3 tiers of scholarships last year, or it went from about 20% to all the way to 10%. So we have not been able to provide a full tuition scholarship to our students in the past. That is, in the future, that's something that we would love to do. But as a, as a non-profit and a startup ourselves, that's something that we're constantly working on to improve. Thanks again for that question. Let's see, and just to remind everyone watching, the way you can submit the questions are, through Facebook. That's a good way to reach us. We're monitoring that. In addition to our Google Plus page, in which you can utilize the Q&A app, which we've gotten some questions that way, and also Twitter. And if you're using that, you can just tweet at Endevvr, and we're looking to answer all of those questions here. And my email is on here as well. So that's another way that you can send some questions our way, and I'm going to check that really quickly just to make sure that there are no questions that we're leaving out there. Okay, we got another question here, and this one, someone is asking, what do we look for in the application process? What is the most important thing for our candidates to have? What qualities are we emphasizing? So that's another great question, because you know, for a lot of programs where students are just judged by their resumes, I think that works for other programs. What we're looking to get a sense of is really the who you are as a person, as a complete person. So we look beyond just the resume and kind of a checklist of things that you've done in the past. You know, that's not to say that we don't celebrate your accomplishments, and most of our students are extremely accomplished individuals, and you know, we're kind of blown away by the quality of applications that keep coming in. But really, what we're looking for is a sense of being open to learning, being open to going out of your comfort zone for to learn new things. Because as any of our alumni will tell you, that actually happens a lot during the program. We believe that if you're not going outside of your comfort zone, you're not really learning to the best of your ability. So those qualities are important. We also want to make sure that you you can get along with the other students, and that you can handle the stress of being in a kind of a high performance situation for 5 weeks. So really the personality is very important. That's something that we try to get a sense of through the application process. Also, we always look to this kind of touches on another question that we received about the application process. There, in addition to the application round, there's also an interview round where we conduct phone interviews with our applicants, and pretty much everyone who ends up attending the program goes through the interview round. So we don't admit anyone without interviewing them first over the phone or Skype. So that's another way that we ensure that the students that do end up attending are people who will make up a great group. So here's another question. If we could disclose the number of early applicants or the admissions rate of the round. So we traditionally do not disclose the exact application numbers, but I will say that we've had a higher number of applicants this year for the early round than we did for all of Endevvr last year. And we accepted about, I think right now it looks like at about 10% of the applicants, 10 to 15%. I'm not entirely sure on the exact amount at this moment, but we've also have some students that are on a wait list as well from the early round. So so hopefully that answers your question. Here's another question that we have, and these are actually great questions from Richie here. So I'll start with number one. He asks, how did the students choose positions in their company? who becomes the leader? And that's a great question, because a lot of times students are, since you're going to be part of this company, you want to make sure that you're all co-founders as far as we're concerned. The way the roles get chosen is we actually allow the students to pick the roles themselves, and the way we design the teams, a lot of times they lend themselves naturally to the students kind of falling into certain roles. We go over different leadership styles, and we advise you on different ways that you can run your company, but it's ultimately down to the students who becomes a leader. And in a startup role, when you have 3 people working with you, there are actually a lot of different jobs that have to be done, and so everyone is taking on multiple jobs, so to speak. So it's not, it's very different from a big company where there's one person who's a CEO and they have a set number of things to do. In a startup, what you'll find is the roles are often very flexible in what you actually end up doing. But like most things with Endevvr, we allow the students to decide after we give you good advice on what that should look like. So hopefully that resolves that question. And again, your second question, Richie, what was the acceptance rate in the early round? I believe I just answered that. That was it was about, I don't have it in front of me right now, but again, it's been kind of consistent with our acceptance rate in the past. And the third question here, how does Endevvr compare to MIT launch? That is kind of a big question. So as far as I'm familiar with the other programs to an extent, but again, I don't want to comment without knowing precisely what they do. Both MIT launch and Endevvr were kind of started from the same idea. And launch was our pilot program, and it was based on the original idea that I had, I guess, 3 years ago now. Endevvr was sort of an evolution of that idea and a different way to answer the question. So again, while I can't tell you exactly what the other programs do day to day, I can give you an idea what we do that we think makes us special. And like I said earlier, in the info session, one of the things that I believe makes us special is really to focus on providing the highest quality experience for each of our students. That means keeping, the way that comes across is we keep the class size small on purpose. We bring in as many resources and mentors and advisors as we can. Like I said, last year we had on average 4 mentors per team, which is a great ratio when you consider the fact that most teams have 3 to 4 people. So really, at our core, we're designed to we're designed for quality rather than quantity, and I think that would be probably the biggest difference as far as I'm concerned. Another thing too is we're really pushing the boundaries of experiential learning, and this means that as far as classroom time is concerned, we were able to eliminate all unnecessary lecture time, or just kind of like we get rid of all the boring parts where you sit and somebody talks to you for several hours, while you're kind of tired in class. we really push the learning by doing piece. Our lectures are highly targeted, short, very interactive. We focus a lot on discussion, learning from each other as well, and kind of feedback sessions, and giving you a lot of time to work on your companies rather than sitting in a classroom. And that's heavily based on student feedback, but also on our learning and teaching philosophy. The other way that we're different, I think, as much as it seems that a 4-week program to a 5-week program, someone asked, what can you do in a 5-week program that you can't do in a 4-week program? To that, we found that the extra week actually makes a huge difference, and how far the companies could go before they leave the incubator for after the summer. So a lot of our, for example, last year we had one of our companies was able to meet with several investors prior to even the final pitch day. So they were already in negotiations with some investors before that. One of our companies had a fully working app on the App Store done by the presentation day. Also, just the level of thinking and the level at which the companies were at the 5 weeks was a lot more advanced than what we saw in a 4-week program. And that, again, most of our students have given us the feedback that week really made a difference. It also puts a lot less pressure on the early days of when you have to kind of form the team and form the idea. It gives us time and gives you space to really find out who you're working with, who you work best with. Give some time to flesh out the ideas and the problems, rather than having to just execute on something really quickly without really getting to know the other people and without really evaluating the idea initially. So that's something that's been very important to us. Other than that, I think we're also strong believers in people, and we think that I might be biased in that respect, but I think we have assembled the best team of people who care very deeply about this subject. We're all very passionate about what we do. And I think we're into building long-term relationships and building an entrepreneurial community that is that lasts. And the relationships that you create at Endevvr are relationships that last well beyond the program, whether that's with with us, with the students, instructional stuff, and the mentors and other people that come in. We're really not interested in just getting to know you for 5 weeks and then not really knowing you after that. We kind of see our students as becoming members of a community. So that's something that's tremendously important to us. So hopefully that answers your question, and I see that you have more. So two other great questions, Richie, and I kind of wish that I had Sam with me today. If you want to look back at the broadcast from yesterday, we actually had 2 of our alumni join us for the session, so you can view through that and see their perspective on it as well. But one question here is, how do students work together after the program, considering distance and time zones? So from the feedback that we got from students is, once they really get into the idea, they develop ways to work together. In the first year, we had a team where one person was I think in Israel, one was on the West Coast and one was on the East Coast, and they managed to to communicate through email, through Skype, come together at different times that were critical. And they were able to keep going with their idea. This year, Sam, who was actually here, he was on the other broadcast yesterday. He's working with his team is international as well, and they've been able to communicate and work very well together. So any entrepreneurial endeavor, any startup has certain constraints that they have to overcome. So as far as we're concerned, you guys being in high school and sometimes not living in the same area, it's just one constraint that could be overcome in many creative ways. And we found that this is not really an issue for our students, the ones that do want to continue their companies. The next question, does Endevvr teach basic business skills such as accounting and marketing? Of course, and this is, these are essential skills to any startup and any business kind of venture. So we do actually have a very extensive kind of business skills curriculum. We have someone who's we have several dedicated finance instructors that are wonderful at this, and they're super passionate about teaching finance and business concepts, things like accounting and marketing as well, in a way that's actually relatable. So this was a big thing that we did last year, is we pushed even people who teach things that are kind of, you'd think a little bit more boring, like finance or accounting, to really come up with ways to make it more interactive and more exciting and more relatable. So I think we've done a great job at that. We also teach a lot of the technical skills. So we found that students who learn Excel before the program do a lot better. So we actually provide our students with an Excel course. It's actually a requirement for the pre-work. And we kind of guide you along that path as well, so that you can do, to take your skills. So you absolutely develop kind of like the hard business skills in the program as well. So I think we have another question. And this one, sorry, it took a while to get to this one. It says, when it comes to college applications, would you say that Endevvr is a prestigious summer program to have on your resume? Well, I would say yes, and let me explain what I mean by that. So when it comes to college applications, and this is feedback that we've gotten directly from students that we've worked with in the past. Here's something, this is a direct quote from one of our alumni, and she actually said that, out of all the things that she's done in the past, and her resume was super impressive to begin with, she thought that Endevvr was actually the thing that made her entire college application, for the reason that, I know, I've talked to some college admissions people to get a sense of what they look for in applications, and a lot of times what they say is that, they see, and frankly we see these too when students apply to Endevvr, when you just kind of have a resume with a lot of kind of like lines, there's things that, did you do this, and it's just like a lot of check boxes. A lot of these resumes end up looking the same. What I think Endevvr does is it gives you the experience to really stand out, because what you learn and what you experience at Endevvr, it's really, there's no other experience like it. And again, this is quoting some of our students, and I wish some of them could be on the feed to tell you this in person. But it's not so much. What happens at Endevvr is you become the person that colleges want to admit, if that makes sense. And rather than just being another kind of like thing to mark off on your resume to say that you've been to a program. So while I think that colleges do look at this favorably, I think it's so much more than just a line that you can put on your resume. I really think that just being able to speak from this type of experience, talk about going through the process of starting a company, is tremendous. And I actually strongly believe that Endevvr, and we strive to do this too, it's not just a program that you come to say you've been to it, just to kind of tell people that, hey, I went there, and it's a program that you come to experience, and it really transforms you when you're here, and I think it's an unparalleled experience when it comes to that. And a lot of our alumni have gotten into very, very prestigious institutions. We have several that each year that have, if you're interested in Ivy Leagues, that's that definitely happens. If you'd like to talk about any of things that we've talked about in this info session. In the meantime, let me check our feeds here just for any final questions. We are getting to the end of the program, and I'm sorry, there's been some questions on Twitter that I haven't gotten to, so let me finish by answering those. These are from Rakesh. So Rakesh is asking, if you have been doing DECA or FBLA for a few years and been working in 3-people teams forming businesses, how would Endevvr be different? So one way that Endevvr is different, and again, I don't know your exact experience with DECA and FBLA, but one of the things that we emphasize at Endevvr is not a business plan competition. So I've seen a lot of, I've actually been a judge at a lot of business plan competitions too, and not to kind of diminish that experience as well, because I think they're tremendously valuable. But Endevvr, you actually start a real company, and the level of scrutiny that you have to kind of put your company through and put your idea through when it's real, as opposed to a hypothetical business for a business plan competition, is totally different. At Endevvr, we, when you talk about a business plan, it's a business plan for your actual company. So you actually have to consider real customers, real need. You actually talk to the real customers that you're going to have. And a lot of times you develop, the way you develop your product or your offering has to match a real world application, because we're not interested in in hypotheticals. We're interested in our students starting real companies that are out there in the real world. So I don't know if that's very how the FBLA and DECA stuff compares to that. But from what I've seen and heard from students that I talk to, is that this is a much more real experience than what you get anywhere else. I certainly think that having that kind of a background would give you an advantage, because you'd be skilled at some of these concepts. But actually going out, I think there's a big difference in doing kind of hypothetical things and doing something real. And when we say that at Endevvr students start real companies, again, it's not just something that we say. Our students do start real, actual companies with the help of all the resources that we have. And a final question to Rakesh asked if so that our videos feature mostly boys. Do we attempt to balance boys and girls? And The answer to that is absolutely yes. Again, we balance. Diversity is extremely important to us at Endevvr. And to be honest, many times we get a larger number of applications from boys rather than girls. We're working very hard to change that. If anybody viewing this broadcast, if you have ideas on how we can change that and make diversity at Endevvr even better than what it is right now, we'd love to talk, and we'd love for for you to tell us how we can do a better job. But we absolutely, that is one of our goals to balance that. Let's see if there are any other questions. If not, I think we're already run over on time a little bit. But yeah, great. So if there are no more questions on Twitter and Facebook, I will. I want to thank you all for watching. If you have any more questions following this info session, please feel free to email me at either martin@endevvr.com or info@endevvr.com, and we'll have either myself or all of our other wonderful mentors and Endevvr people answer that. Also, if you'd like to be connected with any of our alumni, I know a lot of times it helps to speak with someone who's been to the program. Send me an email as well, and I'd be thrilled to connect you with with anyone from our alumni network. Our application deadline is March 6th, so I encourage all of you to apply. And if there were some things that you heard this evening that were inspiring, interesting, I also encourage you to let others know about Endevvr as well. So thank you all, and have a great night.